So, Professor, KCSN has won numerous awards and has been named Best Public Radio in Los Angeles multiple years.
Right.
How does KCSN keep up this trend in a city that's constantly changing?
Well, two ways. By changing slightly, but by keeping our essential arts and roots format, so that when a listener turns on KCSN, the listener knows this is the type of format that I'm going to get. Now, there are certain tweaks that we do here and there. Recently, we went to Adult Alternative in the evenings, and my show went from Wednesday nights to Sunday nights. So there are little tweaks that one has to do. In my own show, I have dropped and added features as things change, as I've sort of sent sometimes through emails that something's working or something isn't, or something I should add. But listeners can rely on the fact that my opening music is going to have something to do with the opera and is going to be some sort of crazy clue as to what the opera is. That if I'm broadcasting an opera that LA Opera is doing during the next few weeks, I'm going to be giving away free tickets to listeners, and that I'm going to have an interview with someone who is in the opera. Those are things that they know 8 times a year, and they know that if they listen just those 8 times a year, they've got a chance to win free tickets.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I guess I've got now the big question: satellite radio. What has satellite radio done in regards to the radio industry? And I guess we'll start with commercial radio.
Sure. I have satellite radio. I got it back in early on. I think it was 2003, and I've been a big fan. A lot of the music that I've heard before I was working in radio, I've been in and out of radio for years now, but a lot of the new stuff I heard was through XM radio, satellite, and a lot of great features. But it's a little bit like cable. People like the local element. You're always going to watch your local news, and you're not going to find that on CNN or TNT or wherever else. So I think that is one thing. That's the one strong thing that terrestrial local radio has that XM Sirius can't provide. And I don't, and the other thing is, again, the economy. A lot of people are skimming off those extra expenses, like a subscription for $13 a month to XM. I just read recently that a lot of people at the turn of the year, as part of their New Year's resolutions, I'm going to get rid of this, and my XM. So again, that goes back to really helping out, the terrestrial that's sticking around. I don't think that it is as big of an issue as it once was when when it first came on the scene, because I think there are so many. Every year there's a new music format or a new place to get music, and XM's just one more. I mean, whether it's iPods or CDs or listening to MySpace or internet radio, there's so many different outlets for people to get their entertainment. So satellite's just one other one, in my opinion.
Okay, now have you seen an impact?
Not really, because you alluded to this. The big thing about terrestrial radio is that it's always there, whether you don't have to pay for it. You turn it on and it's there. Sure, we like to have our listeners become members and contribute, but the 90% who don't, they still turn on the radio, and we're still there with just as good a signal as those who do contribute. Whereas with satellite radio, you have to pay. Same thing with cable, you have to pay. Right. And when in an economy like this, as you said, well, that is something you can do away with, because you can still listen to commercial radio, you can still listen to public radio. It's always there. And like you, we tend to be local rather than, for example, I tend to promote, I don't want to say promote, but I tend to let listeners know what's happening operatically in Southern California, which you don't get on satellite radio. Also, I think that now, just dealing with the classical aspect of satellite radio, because that's all I would listen to. I don't have it, however, but I have heard some of it. To me, it's boring. It's so impersonal. It's Beethoven's Fifth, And yes, I want to hear Beethoven's Fifth, but I want to hear a little personality. I think one of the great reasons talk radio is so popular is the personality of the hosts. And I think in commercial radio, in public radio, whether it's pop, rock, alternative, or classical, there has to be some bit of personality. And the one thing I miss in satellite classical radio is personality, which I do think you get certainly at KCSN. And I will say you also get it at KUSC. I will say they're competitors. Let's say we're complementary.
So would you say that one downside to satellite radio is a lack of on-air personalities?
Yeah, I mean, they have talk shows. They have, you have 10 channels of rock, 10 channels of hip hop, 10 channels of, Christian rock. You have everything. There's literally 150 channels. So if you want talk, if you want personalities, you can go find that. But they're not going to be talking about shows that are going on at the Hollywood Bowl. They're not going to be talking about, a festival down at Santa Monica Pier. So that's what I think. Well, the local terrestrial element will always have over satellite or any other format for that matter.
Okay. Now, Darren, what advice would you have for people that are aspiring to jump into commercial radio? Maybe they idolize on-air talents, and they want to eventually become that. What advice would you have for them?
Dude, this is a great forum. I mean, I started at a college radio station. From there, just doing anything you can. Interning is a great opportunity to get your foot in the door. Any chance, not pestering, but being present to programming people, letting them know that you're interested. Taking any chance you can to get behind the mic, talking to production people, see if they can't use you for a voiceover. Finding a mentor in any industry is important. Finding someone that can kind of take you under their wing and you can learn from and at the same time get practice and experience from. But it is tough. I mean, the job market in general right now is difficult. So it's just a matter of staying after it and not giving up. It takes a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of practice.
Professor, with this economy, what are you telling your students?
Well, I don't teach radio, so, but certainly I agree. I think what you need to do is, as you said, get a mentor, but be able to offer that mentor something. In other words, I'll run out and get your coffee for you.
Sure.
I'll make yourself indispensable to the mentor. And just by being there, you're going to learn just by watching someone who's done it for many, many years. And that's probably the same in any industry. If in the past, I've taught pedagogy of music theory, how to teach music theory. And what I had my students do is come to my classes and just watch me teach. And then we'd talk about what I did, what worked and what didn't work. And very often I would then say, okay, why don't you teach this class for me and I'll watch you. And that's a great opportunity for them. It'd be the same thing in radio. Mm-hmm. As you said, if you can find a mentor and have someone say, hey, why don't you try this voiceover?
Sure.
It'll either work or it won't, but this is your big chance. And chances are you will get a chance. The big thing is you've got to be ready.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you're ready for that break when it comes, because you may never get another one.
Yeah, they say it takes 100 hours just to get comfortable behind the mic. So, talking, it's a lot of shifts, just getting 100 hours under your belt.
Yeah, I recently listened to the very first CSUN Opera House I did. It was awful.
Yeah, oh yeah. Those old tapes are no fun.
And actually, even now, after 14 years, every one of my shows is recorded, and I usually listen to it live, but then I listen to it, usually in the car, on CD, just to see what worked, what didn't work, what should I do differently, how is my Italian in this, how is my German in that. You've always got to try to improve, because if you don't, there's someone else who's going to come in and do it better than you do.
Pretty well, yeah.
All right, well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you for watching. I'm Mike Tersigni, and this was On Point.